Greetings from sunny South Florida. It's time for the Palm Beach Podcast. And the hosts of your show, sports chiropractor and athletic trainer, Dr. James Spencer. Photographer and art director, Mike Jones. Recorded live at the Media Zone Podcast Studio in Palm Beach County. Relax and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the Palm Beach Podcast. Today is August 20th, 2019, and we have a very special show for you, don't we, Spence?
Hey, cheers. We got a good buddy of mine, Alex Herzlin here, PT on the Symetra Tour. Wanted to bring him in. He's a Palm Beach local and kind of tell his story and how he started and how he got to where he's at today.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for coming into our studio. What do you think?
Thanks for having me. Oh, it's nice.
Beautiful place here. We've
Get used to this.
very, very happy to have you in. I know I've met you and out at Spence's facility a few times while you're out there working on some athletes, and so it's nice to have you into our new venture, our new space.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about your background, who you are.
I'm from Wellington High School, college in Florida at UF and University of Miami, and then we got 4 days to football. Grad school and physical therapy school was at Miami, and then always been in sports. Played football at Wellington. Boxed for quite a bit growing up.
Oh, wow. There's a gym out in Wellington that did that?
Actually, not entirely because I was a problem child, but the sheriff's department has a boxing program out in Royal Palm.
Was it through Police Athletic League or?
So it was at the Royal Palm Rec Center, I think it is, technically, which is 10 minutes from my house, so kind of convenient to go get out some anger when you're a little kid, I'm short with long arms, so it's just
you got a good reach, baby.
Match, yeah. These things aren't made for much, but just he's been in sports, and I think I was that kid that was so banged up growing up. I was in physical therapy, I think, in middle school, definitely by high school. So it's just good fit.
Freaking bum shoulders, bum knuckles.
Yeah. And then here we are. Physical therapy is a funny profession, same in chiropractic. There's so many different options of what you can do, and in the combo of probably smiling at the right people or something, found myself with the LPGA. Mm-hmm. And so that's my main gig is I travel with them throughout their season. And so I'm on the road with the LPGA about 23, 24 weeks of the year.
So at least half the year you're on the road.
Yeah. And so then when I'm not on the road is when I get to stop by your clinic and see who you're
have
treating.
Have a little fun,
and relax and watch someone else do work their craft.
Now let me ask you this: what'd you study in undergrad?
Kinesiology.
Okay, and that was at Florida.
Yeah.
When'd you graduate? You were probably there when I was there.
So I went to Florida 02 to 06.
Yeah, you were there when I was there.
And then I was actually already working at Florida. I was the director of personal training there, so I worked there through 08.
Gainesville Health and Fitness Club.
No, I was at Southwest Rec.
I know, but I know you know Gainesville Health and Fitness.
Yeah, when I wanted to cheat on the school. And
that's
then
awesome.
08 to 11 at Miami.
Okay. And why Miami? Just good fit, like the program?
Yeah. I entertained a bunch of programs, although even though it didn't work out, I had an interest in prosthetics and orthotics, amputee therapy, and the University of Miami at the time had a very well-known
program for that
PT that dealt with a lot of military, and stuff like that. I kind of juggled around a few programs. I love UF, but I felt because I went there and worked there, felt like I needed to get out of that
definitely
situation.
Are you from Florida originally?
I'm from New York. But I moved down to Florida when I was little, did all middle school, high school in Florida. I get cold when it's below 70 degrees.
You're like me.
Acclimated.
Can't handle that, man.
I'm from Long Island. Just like every person from Long Island, we moved to Florida.
Right.
eventually.
Now tell me a little bit about the amputee stuff. So when you went to PT school, did you get involved with that?
A little bit. To be completely honest, it's probably almost bad luck that I didn't get more into it. It amputee is such a niche field that you really need to get that experience, and maybe because it was just cool opportunities. When you're in PT school, you do clinical rotations, and there was a few clinical rotations, like there was one at Walter Reed Medical Center in Virginia, which would have gotten you really into that, and I applied and just didn't get it.
Sure.
And since I was so into sports, my fallback, ironically, was the Miami City Ballet.
Shit. So maybe if you would have gotten that gig,
we might not be having
this. We may not be sitting here. That's interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, it's weird to think, but I didn't get it, and I had actually we didn't even have it set up as a clinical rotation. I had set up a rotation with the Miami City Ballet as a plan B.
Smart man.
Got that. Kind of felt like then that sports was what I'd gotten all my experience in PT school still, and I'd come from sports. So then I ended up going into a sports residency. And
now, did you guys get exposure through UM's program to work with their athletes, or was that more of a?
Not too much. Okay. I did. We have to do an acute rotation, so in a hospital.
Sure.
And University of Miami has their own hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a hospital type. I step in a hospital and I suddenly feel sick. I say,
you and me both.
My throat feels a little funny.
Yeah.
I think I should leave here. I'm getting ill. And I think it was very clear from day one that I was not an acute thing.
Yeah.
And so luckily the PT, a couple of the PTs that worked their outpatient, their sports area, had known me, and so told my clinical instructor, I was like, once he gets his hours done,
you're out.
Send him downstairs. And so I did get to work with, we had a few post ACLs and stuff like that from the football team.
Yeah. And then how about golf particularly? How'd you get involved with golf?
Well, being in Florida so long, I had dabbled in golf. I wouldn't say I'm a golfer.
Sure.
But I enjoy it, and I'll go out and hit. And right out of PT school, super ironically, there's the TPI, Titleist Performance Institute, which is the golf certification.
Which is here this week, actually.
Yes. Yeah. And so I actually took their course, I think is my first continuing education course.
How'd you hear about it? Just coincidental?
I was one of those just researching everything sort of thing. And I was just super interested into how they made a sport-specific screen. It wasn't even golf. It was, I like rotational sports, super interested to how they organize this course, things like that. And so I had that, and then because I had that, when I went into clinic, I was immediately the golf guy.
Sure.
Just letters after my name. And
by default.
It was one of those like, no, I'm not really the golf guy, but, intentionally, but I guess I am now. And so, I have a bunch of other letters after my name, just because of the dorkiness. And so when the LPGA was looking, I think they looked for a bunch of letters, and then they asked a few people, and I think I checked multiple boxes. They said, hey, you'll stay in sports, your schedule for the year. And I said, deal.
I like it.
It's funny how being a nerd and passionate about something pays off like that, right?
Well, and listen, coincidentally, like you said, a couple of life decisions, and we may not be sitting here having this conversation. That's pretty cool. I think that's pretty unique just in the overall message of again, Palm Beach Podcast is about spreading the good message and sharing opportunities like what you've been, dealt, and teaching others how you capitalized. It's doing the right things, studying, pursuing passion, and that's growth, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you were still in Miami at this point, or did you come up to Palm Beach County? How did that work out?
So after Miami, after grad school, I actually went out to Idaho for residency. I wanted a change, and the residency was in Boise, but it's actually not through Boise State.
Sure.
So I wanted something that wasn't college, because college sports was all I knew.
Right.
Diversify.
From Boise, I actually went to Georgia. I was offered a spot in a clinic to treat and then also do some extra stuff like teach in a residency.
Okay.
And
Where was this at in Georgia?
My home base was in Suwanee,
Yeah.
Georgia.
Yeah.
I think we talked.
Yeah, we definitely did.
Because you were probably in Atlanta, similar.
Very time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say almost the same time I was probably there.
Yeah, that was with Benchmark Therapy, which is huge,
Mhm.
which is actually headquarters in Chattanooga, but they're all over the
All over,
southeast.
yeah.
And then decided to leave. I left Georgia after a few years, and then was mostly out of South Florida.
Okay.
When I started just going back to working privately, athletes, stuff like that.
Okay.
Was that White Claw sending us a message? Is that the sponsorship coming through?
It's oh shit, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. I love how that works.
Time for a refill, boys.
So I was, even though, the LPGA is based out of Daytona,
Right.
but it actually has nothing to do with me being from Florida that we linked up, ironically.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
So the TPI took it, enjoyed it, became the golf guy. Was it just getting reps that really helped you kind of hone in your skill, or was it you actually played more golf, or was it exposure?
So then I just, since TPI and then until I actually started working with the LPGA, I mean, I'd say 95% of my golf experience was weekend warriors,
Sure.
my dad's
Okay.
friends.
Yeah. Okay.
My uncle saying, "Why can't I swing?" I said, "Because you're an old man that plays golf twice a year."
Take the handicap and run.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had the little bit of experience, but once I decided to, after that, I mean, I have a big baseball interest. I'm from New York, I love baseball. So my rotational sports had actually probably gone away from golf a little bit.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then when we started talking, that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So then I took a deep dive into golf, playing, hurt myself numerous times playing so much golf suddenly.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
But it's about the experience too.
Yeah.
So was it
Just
Yankees or Mets?
Yankees.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Sly
curious
guy,
the same
sly
thing.
guy.
Yeah.
One crazy uncle that's a Mets fan.
Ruined it for everybody.
That's about it.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
booed every Christmas.
Oh, yeah, we exiled him a few Christmases ago. He's not allowed it.
I love it.
So yeah, then it was really just playing some myself.
Sure.
I started to follow a bunch of other clinicians that were big in golf.
Sure.
Would see everything they were doing on their Instagram, stuff like that. Would just read tons of articles.
Is that how you met John? Is that how you met John D'Amico?
Actually, speaking of dumb luck, I was talking with Golf Already.
Okay.
We did a few trials where I would go to events in Florida.
Sure.
Because honestly, I wasn't sold on it.
Sure.
I was thinking, one sport,
Right.
for so long. And so I had done some events, Symetra and Main Tour,
Okay.
LPGA, when they were in Florida. And then I hadn't been in a clinic for that long, so I took a seasonal gig, a travel gig over in Naples.
Okay.
And we just met
No way.
through that. Yeah. Oh, it's completely dumb luck.
Which is
that I met
how
him.
we met.
Yeah, small world stuff.
Yeah, that's actually even crazier that we were in the same, literally in the same clinic.
Clinic. Yeah. So he's one of the I would say one of the board members or TPI guys. A good friend of mine over in Naples, and he handles a lot more of the geriatric hip replacement population.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure there's a market for it over there.
Yeah. I had I got a call to take a short-term gig in Marco Island.
okay.
And I said, yeah, I'll
Gladly.
live on Marco Island
Gladly.
for a few months. And then I went up. He works, I think, 30 minutes north of that.
Yep.
Or so.
We actually grew up on the Gulf Coast as well.
Yeah, so I went up to his clinic one day and he gives me a card and I thought, man, this is a small world.
And you're TPI certified at this point?
I haven't renewed.
No, but at this point when you were
Yeah.
And just right place, right time.
it's funny how that
Yeah,
works. Yeah.
When I originally did TPI, so TPI has the level 1 that everyone does.
Mhm.
And then from there they they go in different directions, whether it's medical or swing coach or power,
fitness,
stuff like that. When I first did it, all the other levels were in person, and traveling all around, they actually weren't really offered many places where I ever was, which made progressing from it super difficult. Now you're online for the level 2s. Yep. Which is great if you don't live in Seaside, California, or
or something like that, right? That's really where a lot of the curriculum's gone, is just because they've got so many international clients, and whether it's fitness, medical, or actually a golf professional, which is cool to see how the whole team actually works, and that's really how you and I have connected, is having team individuals who work together, whether it is medical to medical or fitness or whatever it may be. Like we were talking about an athlete before, I had a strength coach working with this chick on tour, and it was a quick referral over and a quick send back, and now she's doing very well. So it's cool to see how that team model works.
Yeah. Well, so how does it work in terms of, do athletes come to you, or do you work for the PGA and they assign, or like how does that dynamic work of who you work with?
No, so when I'm out on the tour, I am a service offered to athletes. There's 144 players in a full field. It'll go down a little bit at the beginning and end of the season. I'm there all week. If the sun's up, I'm probably there as far as hours, and it's just a service. Whatever time we have allotted, it's really up to the athletes how they use me. We're mostly hands-on manual therapy, but we do some exercise stuff, and that's where we get into team approaches. If I need to be consulting with a strength coach,
sure,
in another city, I handle that as well.
And you build relationships with these athletes, and you probably learn about them, and over time, it's you probably become friends with a lot of these athletes, or
Oh yeah, I mean,
you care about them. You're like, oh yeah, I know that they've got a dog at home that's a little sick right now. Or,
well, and I mean, you're spending half the year with these people,
exactly.
So you definitely would get to know them. And now my question is there a strength coach with you guys, or is that more city to city, or?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay.
I'm the PT.
You're the Renaissance man.
I'm the strength coach.
Yep.
I'm the athletic trainer because I can be called on field to do anything.
Okay.
On the Symmetric Tour, there's weeks that I'm the EMS. A couple weeks ago, we got some staples and stuff like that. Not on a player, on a volunteer scorer, unfortunately.
Awesome.
Yeah, so on the Symmetric Tour, I am everything.
Okay.
On the main tour, we always put at least 2 therapists at the majors, but then we have EMS. We usually have a physician on site, things like that. But at neither do we ever have a strength coach.
Okay. And then how about if you do have to refer out to a medical doctor or something, or an ortho, how does that work?
So the tour has 2 medical directors that are both physicians. And so depending on what the situation is, if we can handle it remotely, there's times where I'm taking a picture of a rash and sending a picture and saying, feel comfortable writing me a script by seeing it. And it'll be yes, we'll get a general, called over for you. Give me the phone number of the closest pharmacy, or that looks scary.
Send it out.
Walk-in clinic.
Okay.
That's the trickier thing with us again versus the main tours. The main tour usually have a physician that would just come in.
Perfect.
Look right at it.
So you're gaining incredible amounts of experience with this.
Yeah, and that's actually why I like my gig, because while it can get stressful, I like wearing those different hats. There's really never a dull day.
Well, it's clear as day just talking to you, and honestly, you just bouncing in and out saying, "Hey, I'm in town. Can I come by?" It's week to week with you, which is cool, and it just provides you an opportunity to travel and to learn and really gain experience. Acute and chronic management. That's cool.
Yeah.
So if you were to talk to some people in Palm Beach County that are interested in physical therapy and golfing, what kind of advice, what kind of places, what kind of people, what kind of studying, anything that you would kind of recommend?
So my job, because I do like showing people what's possible. I actually have residents and fellows come out and shadow me for a week. And I tell them all the same things. See who you want to be and then become them.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's an actual person or whether it's your own, made up person in your head. And so, because especially young clinicians, I'm basically always dealing with clinicians, never really students. And if there is an occasional student, it's a grad student that's already in school. But, I tell them when we're doing the certifications, and while it's dumb luck for me, if you want to get into golf, take the TPI stuff before you get that, before you see the job posting.
Sure.
Don't wait. And so that's what I tell them. I hear, so much back and forth these days about how healthcare is so difficult and you shouldn't go into this because of the loans you'll get and this and that. But the truth is, I still think it's the same across everything. If you do the work and you become, at the level that people admire and people want to go to, you're going to find a sweet setup.
I agree with you on that.
And you were saying like it's important you need to like what you do, and it's not for everybody to be a physical therapist or treating athletes, but you kind of only really know until you do some digging and figuring out that you really are interested in it or not. Because a lot of times you can just see the glamour. You see this person on social media and you're like, oh wow, they're doing really well, blah blah blah. But like, do you actually like doing that stuff as well, or do you just like the clout, or
Well, it's funny you said that. I was talking to an athlete yesterday and I looked at him, I'm like, as great as being a professional athlete is, it sucks too.
Yeah.
I'm like, and people don't see like this, the hard work that you have to deal with, whether it's physical manual therapy treatment that sucks and doesn't feel good, or the exercise that you just put yourself through for 2 hours. And it's, again, they see the stuff on the social media, but they don't see the background information. And again, this is like, it reminds me of another guy was taking a picture for an article, and he looks at the guy taking the picture. He's like, you see what we do for you fucking people? And it's the truth. Like, people don't see behind the scenes stuff that you have to do or they have to do to make sure that they are playing well and getting their sponsorships and TV stuff going on. I think that's something that, from my standpoint, I'd like to raise a little bit of awareness to some of them, or for some of them.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you had quite the journey. Like, you have to go and work in Boise, Idaho sometimes, like.
Well, and that's the truth too, is, cultural diversity, travel experience. I mean, being on the tour, I know you're working with different ethnicities, whether that's different manual therapy techniques, conversation, being able to communicate with them effectively. I mean, that's pretty important as well.
I mean, I would imagine there's a few languages spoken on tour, right?
Yeah, just a few. Women's, I think a lot of sports, but I can speak very much to women's sports. A lot of other countries don't support women's sports when they're younger. So a lot of our players did come to the States for college.
Interesting.
Got scholarships. So there is English as a second language, but a large percentage their college PTs and ATs went through the real struggle.
Sure. You're lucky, actually.
Yeah. You've had a few buffer years.
Yeah. And so yeah, even though we are so diverse with our countries, most speak English. I do, but I will have, but everyone's so close. I will have players that hardly speak English, but then another player just comes in with them.
Sure. How about, locally to anybody that would like to come in and check out the Palm Beach podcast or the studio in general? Anything to break the barrier, break the ice to get them to come on in?
I drive a big truck and parking was easy.
I love it. I love it.
I got a 6.5 foot bed in that thing and parking was easy. No, I think this is a great spot.
Awesome, man.
I really do. When you first told me about this, I was super excited because I'm not a tech person. So this sort of stuff would be impossible for me without the setup. But then this was as easy as sitting down, cracking open the White Claw, and I'm ready to go.
That's it, baby. It's easy.
Yeah, you really, your job is not to know how to use a microphone. So why do you want to waste all your energy on trying to figure out how to use a microphone if you can just come on in here, record a quick podcast, drink a White Claw, not worry about anything.
Well, and again, I think making it convenient and easy for people that may have some hesitancy or a little skeptical, I think, just coming in and creating the experience. And like you said, like before we started recording, it's about the experience, the energy that you provide that creates the mood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely really excited with where Media Zone is and where it can go. And I think that, as businesses and brands start seeing the digital technology, they're going to have to start creating more digital content to keep up with their competitors,
Yeah. I mean, I can only speak for our profession, but there's people that have made their careers on social media because it's great because you can just, and they deserve it.
Sure.
I don't mean to take anything away from this because they put out great content, but the ability to get your message to so many people, for me to I put on a podcast every single morning on my walk.
Go. Yep. There you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, podcasts and athletics actually kind of go together really well. You find a lot of people listen and consume that type of content on the treadmill, on the bike, on a walk. And it stimulates your mind as well while you're doing cardio, which is not the funnest.
I don't know. I think it helps me pass the time.
Touche.
If I'm plodding away on a bike or a treadmill because it's raining out, I'm not a happy camper.
So to put you on the spot, name your top 3 podcasts right now.
Rogan.
Yeah.
I can honestly, I can never even keep up with how much Rogan puts out. Bigger, Faster, Stronger.
Sure.
Which I like because it's a dorky performance podcast, but it'll go from clinical to performance.
Sure.
Those guys are lifters out there, and the Movement Maestro, mostly because she's just a character. I love her energy.
I love it.
If I'm feeling a little sluggish, I go Movement Maestro
Right out the gate.
She just brings it.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
If I'm on a long drive and I need to stay awake, Joe Rogan, because I'm gonna start laughing.
Sure.
5 minutes in.
I like Rogan's. He's influenced us quite a bit.
Well, yeah, absolutely. He's kind of the gold standard in the podcasting world right now. I mean, he's because he came from a TV background. He's brought in a lot of credibility to the space where usually like podcasters are sort of like, the guys that didn't go to radio.
Sure.
So to have somebody like him who just, shows it's really about sitting down and just having a conversation and, what happens over a 45-minute chat. He's like humanized it. And I think he's a big reason why we're sitting at this table right now.
Sure.
So if anyone wants to find you on social media or get to know you a little bit better, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Dr. Alex Fixes People.
I love it.
Which is really just a tour.
Yeah.
Instagram. It's really just to show some of our unofficial equipment sponsors some love.
Awesome.
Been trying to get a little better at that because we do get some help from some really great companies, and I like showing my players doing great stuff.
Sure.
So yeah, Dr. Alex Fixes People is probably the easiest one. Anyone needs to find me, reach out through that one. I'm pretty good at getting back to people.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, we appreciate you coming out today and just jumped on, a flight back to Florida and came right in. So we appreciate you coming out to the studio today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for sharing a White Claw.
Cheers.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.